Hello everyone and welcome back to the GeekWave. This is the low budget show. It's the show so low it has no budget. Let's ride the waves of the GeekWave and head down to the coast where we return to a familiar place we always talk about at Tsunami Studios here, the MCU. Because of course the MCU is the biggest thing in the world. Of course I'll talk about it. But we're not doing a normal video about the MCU today. No. We're doing our first in a series of videos that'll probably be coming sparingly to the GeekWave. A what if. And our what if this week is, what if Andrew Garfield was the MCU Spider-Man? What a fun topic. I'm very excited to dive into. But before we dive into that, we have a few pieces of news to talk about. And it's kind of scarce this week. There's a couple of interesting pieces I'm very excited to talk about. So let's jump right into it and we'll have fun with that. And our first piece of news kind of came out of left field for some people, but it was something I felt like I should talk about just because of the impact it had on the comic book industry. Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman will be ending their run on Venom with issue 200 coming in April. Now that is a big shock to a lot of people considering we are in the midst of King in Black and that is only halfway done its run. So it looks like it's going to end in March and then April they'll be done completely with the character of Venom, which is kind of sad. I think it's amazing what those two were able to accomplish to bring Eddie Brock back into prominence. That is something that is so hard to do, but they managed to do it in a cool way, so props to them. I'm very curious to see what their next projects are going to be because Cates is still doing Thor, and then I don't know, what other projects does he have at Marvel right now? He's doing Crossover, but that's not at Marvel. He's doing the ones they feed, or we feed the ones or something, that werewolf book for that new publisher I can't remember the name of. But what's Stegman doing? It seems likely these two will be teaming up for another book very soon. I could see it. I don't know. Depends if Spencer continues his run on Spider-Man or not, but I could see them getting Spider-Man. I could see them maybe... Oh, I don't even know. I'm trying to think of who's another character in that realm. Well, I think around that time, Immortal Hulk will be wrapping up soon, so they could potentially be doing a Hulk story. It's interesting. To say the least, it is interesting. Deadpool just ended, so maybe it's Deadpool. Interesting stuff, but kind of sad to see him go. Not surprised. Why keep writing a character if you don't need to? So that's good for them, man. I'm happy for it. I like Cates a lot. I don't think he is the godsend to comic books that people think he is, but I enjoy everything he's worked on. I don't really hate any of it, so that's cool. And Stegman is an artist that I like, don't love. So I wasn't the biggest supporter of their Venom run, but I know the cultural impact it had on comic books and the character of Eddie Brock. So it's good for them that they're going to be able to wrap up the story the way they want to. And it's so clearly obvious that Eddie Brock / Venom is going to become the new King in Black. So I guess we'll live with that somehow. That's cool, I guess. Doesn't affect me, but whatever. Some more news. Guess what, guys? Bridgerton, the biggest series in all of Netflix history, is going to be getting a season 2. Duh. This was so obvious. Now, here's the thing about Bridgerton. I watched the entire season in one sitting, and I was completely drunk throughout most of it. Like, I started off sober, but in each episode, I'm like, I'm going to take another shot. I'm going to keep drinking until I get done Bridgerton. And surprise, surprise, I actually liked it. I really did. I thought it was kind of enjoyable, kind of interesting. It definitely felt of the time period piece, and it was cool. I don't think it's the best thing in the world, but I could definitely watch another season. I think all the characters are likable, and it's just a fun concept, I guess. It's not that bad. So, season 2, of course, makes sense to me. I believe that the next book in the series focuses on the eldest brother. Is that the true? I don't know. But maybe we'll get him laid next too. Very fun stuff. I see how a lot of younger people would clamor to this, like the Shondaland people, but come on, it's not that great. It's good, but it's not that great. I enjoyed it though, guys. I enjoy it, so don't hate me for not thinking Bridgerton's like the best thing in the world. Don't hate me for that. We also have a couple of trailers to talk about today, which is kind of exciting, honestly. The first one is the best thing in the world. These are both really good, actually, but the first one is for Superman and Lois, which, wow, did this trailer just blow me away? I love it a lot. I've been supporting this project since day one. Tyler Hoechlin is a great choice to be a Generations version of Superman. Like, he's gonna do to Superman what Tom Welling did, what Christopher Reeve did. It is so exciting. I think he looks better than Cavill. I will stand by that statement. In this trailer, it showed us a lot of interesting stuff. One of the things being that it looks like there's some real money behind this. They're shooting this in a cinematic ratio as opposed to the things we see on the CW, which just blows my mind that they're actually able to do that. I think that is very cool and very impressive. Good work, team. The cast looks great. The story looks fun. These aren't their kids. It seems like they're going to be adopting these kids from somebody we don't know yet, and they're going to be mad at Clark for not revealing his identity or something. I'm going to assume, and I don't know, that one of the kids might be powered and has some metahuman gene in them, while the other one doesn't and has some resentment towards either Clark, Lois, or his other brother. I'm very excited for this. Man, it looks good. I'm so happy they put money behind this. This looks like the CW said, no, Stargirl worked. People liked that cinematic feel. We should do that with Superman because Superman is infinitely cooler than a lot of other characters we have. So we should try to make him look that way. And they did. And it's very impressive. Very impressive, man. Absolutely just amazed at how this one looks, so I'm very excited for that. I'm thinking we will do weekly reviews of Superman and Lois when it comes out, the same we did them for Stargirl, because I would honestly rather talk about Superman and Lois than whatever Marvel show's coming out that month, probably Falcon and Winter Soldier. So very excited about that. But we got another trailer in the vein of two ultimate friends that kiss a lot, Superman and Lois. We got two ultimate enemies that should kiss, and that is the Godzilla vs. Kong trailer. I am cautiously optimistic on this. I've been burned before by these franchises and these movies. I think they're all pretty good. I actually don't think there's anything bad about them. I will say, though, I don't need to see humans. I don't need to see humans, which is why part of me would prefer if these were just like CGI and just like a cartoon kind of thing, because then do like an adult animated cartoon. You know who would crush a Godzilla vs. Kong animated movie? The guy that did Primal, Tartakovsky, I think is his name. That would look sick. But no, this looks awesome, man. King Kong's got an axe. Godzilla's going to fight him. Mecha Godzilla, maybe. It looks sick. I'm so on board for this. I'm in that mood again, you know? I just watched Psycho Gorman. Now I'm like, give me some more monster flicks, dude. Let's go crazy with them. Absolutely excited, man. It's very exciting. Very cool. Godzilla vs. Kong. Should I do some more content before that about the kaiju people there? We're doing a GeekWave. I have a GeekWave lined up to talk about my favorite kaiju, but maybe we'll talk about some of like the individual movies with those people like from the earlier on. We'll see what happens, but I'm very excited for that. And we got one piece of news that came out the day I'm recording this, and that's right, finally, after speculation for months, numerous names attached, we got some of our cast for the Sandman series that will be debuting on Netflix. And I'm super excited to see some of these names. I'm not going to go through all of them just because I don't think it's going to matter to everybody who some of these people are. We'll stick to the ones that are important. Tom Sturridge, who is an actor I'm not too familiar with, but he will be playing the Dream of Dreams. He's going to be the Dreaming Man himself. Our lead boy, Dreamy Boy Morpheus, which is very exciting. I can't wait to see what that's going to look like. It's going to be fun, but there's some surprising names in here. Boyd Holbrook is in here, which I'm like, okay, that's exciting. I can't wait to see what he's going to do. Charles Dance doesn't surprise me. He's a very Shakespearean, poetic actor, which makes a lot of sense. Asim Chowdhury really surprised me. I'm kind of a fan of Asim, so I'm like, that's a weird get, but okay, I can see it completely. But the one that surprised me the most, that made me the most excited for this project, Gwendolyn Christie, baby. She is going to be Lucifer, which at first I'm like, we couldn't get Tilda Swinton, and then I'm like, if we can't get Tilda Swinton, by all means, you get Gwendolyn Christie, because that is a great choice. That's exciting, man. There's something very imposing about Gwendolyn. I'm very excited to see her interpretation of Lucifer. That is such a good get. I was like, that's the one. That is the biggest announcement you can make for this. Okay, you got your dream. You got him. He's going to be great. The two that I think people would be on the lookout for the most to see this being something unique and different. Who are you going to get for Lucifer? And you got the best actress in the world for it. Who are you going to get for Death? You got to get, oh man, who could they get for Death? That is a good question too. I'm thinking, oh man, I don't even know who I'm thinking. I would say, who is Constance Wu would be pretty interesting to see his death. Do you go younger? You could go younger. I'm not sure how young you'd go. I'm trying to think who's somebody in like that age range that could potentially be somebody to focus on. I like the idea of Constance Wu, though. I put that in my own head, and I think it's pretty interesting. Yeah, it's very exciting, man. Emma Stone would have been cool, maybe. I think she's a little too out of it now. I don't know. Awesome, man. That's a great cast. I'm very excited to see this. Neil Gaiman deserves it. A good property based off something he's developed, because American Gods sucks. I'll say it here. It sucks. So, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, let's jump into our main topic, and we'll be talking about Spider-Man. Spider-Man, he can do whatever a spider can. Andrew Garfield, what if he was the MCU Spider-Man and Tom Holland never was in the movies? It's a very fun idea and a thought-provoking piece that I was just kind of curious to talk about and go through. So I have like all the stuff that we've seen Andrew do, which is the first two Amazing Spider-Man movies. So obviously those would be staying as the way they are because Spider-Man debuts in the MCU after those movies. So my thought process was, we have the first two Amazing Spider-Man movies. Those are going to be sticking around. They will be in canon. They are part of the MCU now. And then we're going to go through each subsequent viewing of Tom Holland's appearance in the MCU and see how it would be different if it was Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man in those performances. So this was a fun topic to bring up. I was very excited to make the notes for this one. A couple of things I do want to say. I don't really think either of these guys are the best Spider-Man. I've still partial to Tobey Maguire. I know it's weird, but out of these two, I like Andrew more than I do Tom. I just can't get behind Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I think at least Andrew got the flair right, the aggressive flair of Peter Parker. He got the angst right, he got the confusion right, he got everything interesting about that character down to the way it should be and distilled it into a great performance. The movies themselves aren't that great, but I think the performance he did was really cool. I really like that a lot. So let's see. We got Amazing Spider-Man 1, which would be the same. The Lizard story. Captain Stacy dies. Amazing Spider-Man 2. A lot of weird shit going on. Not a great film, but it makes sense that it would exist. And then we would go, ladies and gentlemen, we would take a leap 2 years into the future into Captain America Civil War, where Peter Parker would be fighting in the airport battle all the same, but this would be an older, wiser, more interesting Peter Parker. So I personally feel that the version of Peter Parker that we have seen in the Amazing Spider-Mans 1 and 2 would be very reluctant and hesitant to join forces with Tony. And that is something you're going to see throughout my what if here, is that this version of Peter Parker is not as big fan of Tony Stark. And I think that's something, too, that even Garfield said when he was talking about like maybe crossing over. He's like, this Peter Parker is for the working class man. That's all he would be. He is for the working class, and seeing like the billionaire Tony like just say like, hey, I can get you to fight for me. Here's a new suit. Here's this new technology. Just keep it and come be a part of this, and you can be like my surrogate son. This Peter Parker, fresh out of high school, would not do that to Tony. So I still think, though, that Peter Parker would join the fight at the airport. He would still come with Tony. He'd be like, okay, I'll help you. I'm not getting a new suit from you. I don't want that. I don't want any of your help. I'm doing this because there are going to be lives at line, and someone's got to stop you or Captain America from making the dumbest decision ever. Because who should be right in the center of this conflict is Spider-Man. He is both parts the American true hero that we see from Captain America, and he is equally parts the tech genius that we see from Tony Stark. So having him right in the center, it's like trying to stop the conflicts from happening, I think is very cool and interesting. It also brings this idea that Peter Parker, his Spider-Man, is kind of the best hero in the Marvel universe, because he's like, I don't want anybody to fight each other in this scenario, but like, for God's sake, you guys are doing something stupid. If it's up to me to stop you, then it's going to be up to me to stop you. So he's like, stop Cap, stop Tony. This is dumb. I think only Garfield could convey that performance of a Peter Parker who is pissed off at the authority like that. We haven't really seen, well, Toby kind of did it. And some of these other guys kind of, like, I guess Holland can kind of do it, but it's Garfield who's like, I'm not fighting this. You guys need to stop. You're doing the wrong thing here. So I think the fight kind of goes the same way with Peter in the Captain America movie. I would say he doesn't really pick a side. He's more like just trying to stop everybody from fighting. And if that means trying to coerce Tony to do things or Cap to do things, that's how I would see it going. I do think he'd come up with the plan to defeat Scott Lang after he Giant Man's out. So that's kind of exciting. Like I said, there's not a lot I would change about the Captain America movie just because it's virtually just like a cameo he makes, you know, like he's not in every scene. The themes would kind of play out the same where, you know, you get Sally Field in there and Peter like comes home to see his aunt and Tony Stark's there and he's just like, oh great, what's this guy want? Then he goes to the airport and they fight and he gets pissed off, but Tony doesn't leave that lasting impression on him. You know how like Holland has that impression with like Happy Hogan. Is it Happy Hogan? No. Dum. I don't even know anymore. It's Happy. You guys, yeah, it's Happy, right? Yeah. With Jon Favreau, I will say. He doesn't have that impression with Jon Favreau's character of Happy, and he doesn't have that impression of Tony Stark. So in my sequel, in my next movie, The Amazing Spider-Man 3, which would take the place of Homecoming, Peter does not have that relationship to Tony Stark. And that launches us into Amazing Spider-Man 3, which would be called The Amazing Spider-Man 3, now part of Marvel Universe. Here are some of the things I would have changed. Peter is no longer the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He is known across the world as the hero. He still lives in New York. He is still the guy based there. But he's like the name of like, oh, did you see this guy? This random guy that showed up after he saved New York a million times? He just came to this fight with like Captain America and Iron Man and he tried to stop everybody from being crazy. This guy's awesome. We should support this Spider-Man. He's so cool. And at this time, during this time period, first off, I want to say this right away. I hate a young Peter Parker. I know I get so much flack for that in my real life. I hate a young Peter Parker. Peter Parker, to me, should perpetually be 30 years old. Now, some people might not like that. I like it a lot because that makes like pretty much everybody else in the Marvel Universe 40 to 50, which is where they should be. Peter should be the youngest of the first generation. It's him and Johnny Storm. In this movie, in My Amazing Spider-Man 3, Peter Parker would be, I'm going to say around 23 to 24. He attends university and he's close friends with Flash Thompson. Now, I don't have him like have Harry Osborn in here because of what we saw with Harry Osborn in the last one, but we'll get to that in a bit and that kind of stuff. When he's attending some prestigious university, whatever it is in New York, that's where he meets Mary Jane Watson. And you know what? I will throw you all a curveball and say his Mary Jane Watson is Shailene Woodley. She was supposed to be an Amazing Spider-Man 2. They cut her out for time reasons because there's so much other crap going on in there. I think you have Shailene Woodley come back as MJ. I love Zendaya, but her MJ is just the weirdest thing in the world, and I don't really like it. So we have the MJ there. I'd say you get a Ned Leeds in there, too. You could have that kind of guy show up in there. I think that could be really interesting to see where that could go. I don't know if you'd get Jacob to come back, but it wouldn't surprise me if he did. So he's in university. He's friends with Flash now. MJ's there. Ned kind of joins their trio of stuff. And I do think the rest of the story kind of plays out the same. Like Peter kind of like starts to like this girl Liz, and this girl Liz is like connected to the Vulture. You could have Peter still fight Vulture in a different way where it's not connected to the Tony Stark stuff. You could have it like maybe the Destruction working when Peter battled Electro was kind of what happened there. You know, like, because what, didn't they destroy that place when Peter battled Electro or something like that? You could have it be anything connected to the first two Amazing Spider-Man movies where there was some sort of destruction and this damage control that, like, the Vulture Adrian was working on. He had to come clean it up, but got taken over by S.H.I.E.L.D., and now he's got, like, some anger in there. So you have all of the same beats happening. Everything could be the same. Them going to the party, him leaving to chase down the Vulture. All the interactions could be the same, like, even on, like, the ship, when he's like saving the ship from cracking in half. All of that could be the same without the connection to Tony Stark. I don't have Tony Stark in this sequel. I don't have any like actual MCU characters show up in this one. I just don't think you need it. I think something that really hindered Homecoming for me was Tony Stark. I don't like the idea of Peter being dependent on Tony Stark just to have his emotions in check or to be that character. I hate it so much. I like Peter kind of being against Tony. He's like, I never want to end up like this son of a bitch. That's my kind of Peter Parker. And that's what we'd see here. So it's the same kind of movie. He still fights the Vulture. He learns a lot of stuff here. I would retcon a few things in the lore, because in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, we couldn't have it that Peter's parents were working for S.H.I.E.L.D. I say just do it. It would literally make no difference to the story. Just say that they were like S.H.I.E.L.D. characters, and everything like that would kind of like be the same. So I think that would work really interesting there. So that's my Amazing Spider-Man 3. Peter goes to university. He fights the Vulture in a connection that's not towards Tony Stark, and he meets a lot of fun people along the way. I think that's very enjoyable. Something that could be a little different than what people would expect. I like it. I really like it. His next appearance would be, of course, in Avengers Endgame, which would be very drastically different in my opinion, just because there's no way. Let's get this out of the way. There's no way in hell that Andrew Garfield's Peter is going to be going to space with Tony Stark. So I think his entrance in the movie is the same. He saves Tony Stark from Call Obsidian in the park. That all still happens. The opening's all the same. But you can really feel the tension between Peter and Tony in this scene. Peter is just like, look, go do your thing. I'm going to go figure out some stuff to do here. He's like, he's more on the ground in this movie, where he's like saving people of New York City until he is met by Steve Rogers. And Steve Rogers is like, kid, I need your help to fight this battle. We have an idea how to stop it. We could potentially save the world there. So instead of Peter going to space with Tony, this Peter stays on the flight and goes to Wakanda with Steve Rogers and all of our other heroes on the ground, which I think is kind of cooler. I think it'd be a really fun thing to see. I think he would form a really cool connection with Shuri. That would be a really fun one to see. And I would love to see that. So they're trying to fix the vision. He's using his computer skills to maybe figure out how to reconfigure the vision. They both come up with the idea at the same time. Why don't you bypass this thing into this thing in there? And even you could see that Bruce is like, this kid's pretty smart, and so is this one. There's a lot of smart kids here. I like that a lot. I'm calling Peter a kid, but he's about 26 at this point. I don't know anymore. And I think the fight still happens the same. Everything kind of happens the same way. And in the end of that, I do think Peter would still get dusted. But this is a little more interesting to me, just because I like Peter being able to use his brain, something that we haven't really seen when it comes to the MCU Peter. And I'll get to this in a little bit too. Just because one of my biggest complaints about Far From Home, aside from the absolutely god-awful title, is Peter does not build his own suit. He gets tech from Stark to do it, and that really upsets me. Now, you can do that after 50 damn years in the comic books. I'm fine with that. But you cannot tell me that it wasn't cooler to see both Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire make their own suits in a different way. That was way cooler and way more interesting and engaging. That just worked better for me. I don't know if anybody else feels that, so we'll get to that in a bit more when we come to the Far From Home thing. So Infinity War, there's not much to say. I just really like the idea of the tension building up between Peter and Tony, just because I think that's what it should be. They could respect each other and see the value in each other's work, but Tony is like, this kid is going to be better than I ever will, and Peter is like, I'm never going to be like you. That is something I think should be inherent through every interaction those two have. They respect each other, they don't really like each other that much, but they are comfortable enough with each other that things are okay. So Peter gets dusted. We cut to Avengers Endgame, which it's not a Spider-Man movie, so it's virtually just the same thing. I don't know what else I could really add to Endgame. That would be this is what would happen there. He'd come back, he'd do his fight. He probably wouldn't have the moment with Tony Stark where he hugs him. He wouldn't care if Tony's dying. He's like, well, he finally did something right. I don't know why I'm so cynical, but I love the idea that Andrew would be like, I don't care. RDJ is great. He could do his thing. I don't care. But Andrew would just be like, yeah, it's fine. Fantastic. You know what? Let's just make this Spider-Man interesting. Let's just do that. How about that, everyone? That could be fun. So that's enjoyable. Like I said, I don't know what else I could say about Endgame. Peter comes back. He's at the funeral scene. He just doesn't really give a shit. And then we have Amazing Spider-Man 4, which would be Far From Home. So This one, I think, like the other ones, there's some things that play out the same. Peter needs to get away for a bit. He goes on a trip, let's say, with just Mary Jane. At this point, you could have it that she doesn't know that the kid is Spider-Man. Now, I'm not doing the thing where he goes with university. He just goes with MJ. They go on a trip. They're having fun. S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of seeks him out. So instead of it being like I got to get back to school before the classmates know I'm gone as Spider-Man, this is more like, I got to get back before MJ realizes I abandoned her, which is way more interesting and really develops their relationship in a more mature way. Because that is more Peter Parker, where it's like, I got to get back. I got to get back before MJ realizes I've been gone for an hour and a half. I like that. I think that'd be really fun. I think you still do the S.H.I.E.L.D. thing where Peter's like, I'm not being Spider-Man anymore. Like, I've been through enough. I just kind of want a break right now to figure things out. But S.H.I.E.L.D.'s like, we need your help. Your parents worked with us. We got to get through to this and do some stuff. Here is where my biggest change comes in for Far From Home. Mysterio doesn't go out looking for S.H.I.E.L.D. Instead, he frees the Vulture, the Scorpion, the Lizard, Electro, and the Rhino, and he forms the Sinister Six in this movie. Man, I deeply want a Sinister Six movie. I have no hope whatsoever that Far From Home 3 is going to be good in any regards of the word. Here's something else. Tobey Maguire will not be mentioned in any of my sequels for whatever this could be. Absolutely not. Never going to happen. Garbage idea. We have our Sinister Six, kind of led by Mysterio in this point. We see that Spider-Man has to take down these villains, and it's just kind of a fun thing. He works with S.H.I.E.L.D. for some of it, just to get them to work together to take down the Sinister Six, and it's really fun. But we reveal at the end of the movie that the person that hired Mysterio to spring these villains is none other than Chris Cooper's Norman Osborn, which I doubt would ever happen because, Chris Cooper, he died, didn't he? He faked his death. Just say it. Who gives a shit? Who actually gives a shit? He would have been a cool Norman Osborn. He's a great actor. They didn't give him anything to do, really. Which kind of sucks because he would have been a really great foil for a Spider-Man where it's like the wealthy businessman doing his thing here instead of getting these on-the-ground guys. So I like that a lot. I really enjoy this idea that this is the honeymoon kind of idea for Peter and MJ. And Peter's trying to fight the Sinister Six while maintaining his secret to MJ. I think that could be really fun. Of course, she'd figure it out in classic Lois and Clark style. That could just be really enjoyable. And I could see this too, the thing with S.H.I.E.L.D. could be that they're trying to be you are one of the smartest people in the world. We need somebody to become the next Iron Man. And Peter would be like, go fuck yourselves. I am not becoming Iron Man for you or anybody. How dare you even say that to me? I would never like that. That would be such a powerful thing for me, because especially if we tried so hard to make Peter and Tony hate each other, the point where you could become Iron Man, you could be the hero that we need. And Peter's just don't. I'm not Iron Man. I don't need him. I never needed him. That would make me so happy. You have no idea how happy that would make me. I really don't like Tony and Peter's relationship in the MCU. I actually think it's gross. It is weirdly gross. I really hate it. I don't want it at all. So that's my Far From Home. Not a lot to mention on that one. But again, why should there be? Why should there be? There's not much else I could say. Something I do want to make clear too. My Peter is in his 20s. Okay? How old is Holland supposed to be in Far From Home? 16, 17? That's fucking stupid. I hate that idea that he's that young for a lot of reasons. One of them being, how are we going to introduce Miles Morales if Peter's only 16? There should at least be 15 years between the guys. Maybe 12 if you want to be a little more lenient. Or I guess you could go less, 8. But come on. If Miles is going to be 15, Peter could be at least 24. That is the only way I'd be okay with it. I don't want it to be that they're the same age, because how would you have the legacy being passed on to there? And I would set up my Spider-Man 5, my Amazing Spider-Man 5, to be called Spider-Man, and it's a story of Miles Morales and Peter Parker. You could do the interdimensional thing. That would be okay with me. I don't know if you need it, just because it's kind of confusing, but if you're going to Don't have Tobey Maguire show up. Just have it be Miles Morales. That is way more interesting and engaging to me, and it's way more fun and complexing. Do you guys like that? I enjoyed it. It's kind of a shorter episode this week, but I enjoyed a lot of that stuff too. I thought it was really fun. I really wanted to focus on like there being no relationship between Peter and Tony because I don't like it. I know some people don't like that I don't like it, but hey, shut up. It's my thing. You don't have to live with it. You don't have to deal with it in any regards of the word. This is my time to shine, baby, and I'm going to shine bright like a diamond. I'm really mixed on the Amazing Spider-Man movies, actually. I think there's some good to be found in them. There's some really interesting stuff there, but I honestly would say that their portrayal of Peter Parker, the one that Andrew Garfield gives us in those movies, is better suited for an MCU than a Tom Holland, just because there's already a sense of legacy and power behind him. He could fit in really well to the world, being kind of the outsider guy who's kind of an Avenger, kind of on the outs from them, but is also very secure in himself, where he could just say, no, fighting is bad, we shouldn't do this, I'm not going to be your Iron Man, I'm not going to space a few Tony Stark, I will stand by and fight where I need to fight, protect Earth and my people. I think that'd be a really cool thing to see. Shailene Woodley, I think, would be a great MJ. I would have really liked to see what she could do. She's not my favorite actress in the world, but I think she could have done something very compelling there. And say what you will, I think the retcon that Peter's parents were connected to S.H.I.E.L.D. works. I don't think it's bad it's fine. There are worse things that they could do to them. I'm okay with that. I really am. It's fine by me. And I like the idea that maybe Peter would grow a closer attachment to people like Bruce Banner or Doctor Strange or Shuri. There's something more fun to be said about those roles and those relationships, so I'd imagine that there could be something really compelling and unique about those as compared to the Tony Stark thing. And eventually it would all lead to the reveal of Miles Morales becoming that in the whatever this new movie is going to be that's coming out this year. What is this movie going to be that's coming out this year? Far From Home 3. Absolute dog shit. Look, I have no excitement for this new Spider-Man movie. I hate the idea of a multiverse with these characters appearing in it. It actually sickens me to my core, but it's not made for me, so I'm not going to complain. So, how was that What If? Did you guys like it? Did I give enough points that made you go, huh, maybe? Could be something compelling there. Do you like Andrew Garfield? Do you hate Andrew Garfield? Do you like Tom Holland just because he's young and fun and cute? I'll stand by my statement. I still don't think Holland has found the right role to make me go, yeah, he's a good actor. He's been fine in everything he's done. I wish I liked him more, but I gotta say, Garfield has some chops that Holland doesn't yet, but of course he's just a little bit older, so of course he'd find those, and eventually we would all find them too. So, like every episode of the GeekWave, I want to leave with some recommendations for you guys. First off, watch Kong Skull Island. It's really good, really fun, very engaging. It's going to make you laugh and cry and feel things. And Brie Larson isn't half bad in it either. Go read Neil Gaiman's The Sandman because, of course, it's perfect. It's literally perfection personified in there. Check out Bridgerton because, of course, why not? And why don't we go rewatch those first two Amazing Spider-Man movies, because there's probably some redeeming quality in them. There has to be, right? Like, they got two of them, so something good had to happen in there. We'll have to wait and see how that comes into play, but I think they're fun. I think they're fine. Whatever, they're good. So, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the GeekWave. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And if you're listening to this on the podcast feed, why don't you give us a rating over there? I'm always excited to see how those things come and how those things go. Of course, you can check me out on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, all that good stuff. And I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck. Tsunami Studios.